find your way. Amen. But you got to trust God. Amen. God, as an expression of love, has put you in a place that you got to walk completely by faith. What does the word say? Amen. We walk by faith and not by sight. So as an expression of love, God will have you leave your comfort zone. God will have you leave your support system so that you can walk completely by faith. And then you got to separate from Lot. Amen. I was preaching in Georgia about 2 weeks ago, and God gave me a word, stay with the promise. Amen. Because Lot and Abraham, their men got into a struggle. Amen. Their members, amen, I like to say it like that, their members in their congregation got into a little heated discussion. And so Abraham said, look, we family. We ain't got to do this. We need to separate. And so Lot chooses a direction. Amen. And so what God gave me out of that message was, a lot will come, Pastor, and a lot will go. Let me say that again. Somebody may get that. Pastors, amen, and members, amen, of churches, be encouraged, because a lot will come and a lot will go. Amen. And as an expression of love, God will allow a lot to come and a lot to go. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? And so God will separate you from a lot, amen, as an expression of love. See, because so many people depend on numbers. So many people want to lean on numbers. But will you still preach if you only got 2 in your church? Will you still preach, amen, if it ain't nobody but you, your wife, and your son? Come on, somebody. Will you still do the work of the Lord if you ain't got that big congregation that you have? Amen. God will separate you from a lot. Y'all ain't gonna talk to me tonight. Amen. Y'all can sit down on me all you want. Amen. I got a word from the Lord. Amen. I got my amen in my pocket. Oh, bless the Lord. Bless the Lord. Bless him. Bless him. Amen. So God will separate you from a lot. God will separate you from a lot. I don't know if any other pastor has experienced this, amen, but I've seen my church grow, amen, and it seemed like we were about to take off. It seemed like we were getting ready to go to that next level, and then God will send you, boom, about 5 of them, 5 or 6 or 10, amen. I had 11 to leave at one time. A lot will come, a lot will go. And God will separate you from a lot, amen, as an expression of love, amen, to see if you're going to hold on to his unchanging hand. Number five. Somebody say number 5. See, God says to give up his plans for Ishmael. What I got out of this was, you have to give up, we have to give up our plans that was conceived in the flesh. Let me say that again. We have to give up our plans that were conceived in the flesh. See, some ideas and projects were conceived in the corridors of our own minds in the effort to help God bring to pass his promised word. Let me say that again. Some ideas and projects were conceived in the corridors of our own minds in an effort to help God bring to pass his promised word. See, come on, Sarah. Sarah had a project. She said, maybe God chooses to bless us and bring the promise to pass by using Hagar. Y'all ain't gonna talk to me. Amen. Sometimes, amen, we conceive things in our own mind. Y'all ain't gonna tell the truth, so let me talk about myself. Sometimes I have conceived some stuff since I've been a pastor in my own mind, amen, that God never intended to do in the church. So what God has to do as an expression of love, he got to separate you from Ishmael. Ishmael is the work of the flesh. Got to separate you from fleshly work, fleshly ideas, fleshly projects. God's got to separate you. Somebody say number 6. He had to cast out Hagar and Ishmael. God said, I got to get rid of the recipient. Somebody say the recipient. I got to get rid of the recipient of our fleshly insemination. And the product of that union. Bless you, Lord. Bless you, Lord. I got to get rid of the recipient. Hagar was the recipient of Abraham's fleshly insemination, and she got pregnant and produced a product of flesh. There were people, y'all got to hear this right here. God said, he said there were people that were connected with us in the flesh that brought about a product produced by flesh. What God took him up there to the mountain for was not to kill the promise. See, God didn't send you through all of this to kill the promise, but he took you up here to show you something, to show you the vision. Abraham probably didn't even realize what he was looking at. He probably didn't even realize when he was looking at his own son that he was looking at Jesus.